It was a quiet afternoon in Maple Ridge, a small town that most people forgot even existed. The local diner, Betty's Corner, was the heart of the town, a place where everyone knew everyone. Behind the counter stood Betty, a kind-hearted woman in her late 50s who treated her customers like family. At the window table sat Emma, a 17-year-old girl with a gentle smile and wheels beneath her instead of legs. Ever since a car accident 2 years ago, Emma had been bound to her wheelchair. But her spirit, though tested, was not broken. At least, not until that day. Emma often came to Betty's diner after her therapy sessions. She loved watching the sunlight dance through the glass windows while writing poems in her small notebook. Betty always made sure she had her favorite strawberry milkshake ready. But today, a group of loud high school boys swaggered in, led by Troy, a troublemaker known for pushing limits. They slid into the booth behind Emma, snickering, whispering, then laughing louder as if the whole diner was their stage. "Hey, look!" Troy sneered, pointing at Emma's wheelchair. "Gus, she ran out of gas." The others burst out laughing. Betty shot them a warning glare, but Troy ignored her. He leaned closer to Emma's table. "What's the matter, sweetheart? Can't stand up for yourself?" Emma's face turned red. She looked down, clutching her milkshake tighter, hoping they'd get bored and leave. But Troy wasn't done. With one swift motion, he slapped the milkshake from her hands. The glass shattered, pink liquid spreading across the floor. The diner went silent. Emma's lip trembled, her eyes glistening with humiliation. She whispered, "Please, just stop." But the bullies only laughed harder. Betty rushed over, furious. "Troy, that's enough! Out of my diner, right now!" "Relax, old lady," he smirked. "We're just having fun." The Emma couldn't bear it any longer. She wheeled herself toward the door, tears spilling down her cheeks, her heart breaking with each turn of the wheel. As she left, the small bell above the diner door jingled softly, the sound of her dignity fading into the cold afternoon air. Outside, the world seemed quieter. She parked near the sidewalk, trying to catch her breath, wiping her tears before anyone could see. Inside, Betty stood frozen. The other customers avoided eye contact, ashamed they hadn't spoken up. Troy and his friends laughed their way out, proud of their cruelty. But fate has a strange way of balancing the scales. Because an hour later, the sound of motorcycles echoed down Main Street. Deep, thunderous, and commanding, the ground seemed to vibrate as half a dozen motorcycles rolled into the diner's parking lot. Their engines roared like distant thunder. Every head in the diner turned toward the windows as 6 leather-clad bikers dismounted. At their head was Rex, a tall, bearded man with a scar across his cheek and eyes that carried both pain and wisdom. The back of his vest read Iron Brotherhood. The door swung open with a soft jingle. The atmosphere shifted immediately. The same people who'd stayed silent before now sat up straighter. The bullies, who had returned to grab more food and gloat, froze mid-bite. Rex scanned the diner. "Afternoon," he said in a deep voice. "We're just passing through. Heard you've got the best pie in town." Betty managed a nervous smile. "Why, yes, sir. Blueberries fresh out of the oven." Rex smiled faintly. "Then that's what we'll have." The bikers settled down, ordering coffee and pie, chatting quietly among themselves. But then Betty, unable to hold it in, muttered softly, "Wish you'd been here an hour earlier." Rex raised an eyebrow. "Something happen?" Betty hesitated, then told him everything. About Emma, about the slap, about the silence. The diner grew quiet again as Rex listened, his jaw tightening. He looked toward the corner booth where the bullies now sat, suddenly nervous. Rex stood up. The floor seemed to tremble under his boots as he walked over. "Which one of you thought it was funny to hit a girl in a wheelchair?" No one answered. Troy swallowed hard. trying to sound tough. It was just a joke, man. No harm done. Rex leaned closer, his eyes burning with quiet fury. You think making someone cry is a joke? He grabbed Troy's milkshake from the table and slammed it down, hard enough to make it spill all over Troy's lap. No, you know how it feels. The entire diner watched in stunned silence. Then Rex turned to Betty. Where's the girl now? She lives 2 blocks down. Apartment 30C, Betty said softly. Rex nodded. Keep the pie warm. Minutes later, the roar of engines filled the air again as the Iron Brotherhood rode off down Main Street. They stopped outside a small, worn-out apartment building. Rex knocked gently. When Emma opened the door, her eyes widened in surprise and fear. Hey there, Rex said softly. Betty told us what happened. Mind if we come in for a minute? Emma hesitated but nodded. Inside, the bikers listened as she told her story. Her voice was shaky but honest. The story of her accident, her struggles, and how being different made her feel invisible. Rex took off his leather jacket and draped it over her shoulders. You know, he said, every scar tells a story. Some people hide theirs. But you wear yours with grace. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Not of pain this time, but of something she hadn't felt in a long while: respect. The next morning, the Iron Brotherhood returned to the diner, with Emma. They wheeled her inside like royalty. Everyone turned to look, including Troy and his friends, who sat silent and ashamed. Rex stood behind Emma's chair. See this girl, he said. She's stronger than all of you combined. Because strength isn't about muscle, it's about heart. No one spoke. Even Troy's eyes dropped in shame. Betty smiled through tears as she placed a fresh strawberry milkshake in front of Emma. On the house. Sweetheart. Emma smiled, the first real smile in a long time. Outside, the engines roared again as the bikers prepared to leave. But Rex turned one last time and said, next time you see someone getting hurt, don't look away. Be the reason someone believes the world still has good people left. As the motorcycles disappeared into the horizon, the entire diner seemed changed, quieter, yet somehow brighter. And for the first time, Emma felt something she thought she'd lost forever. For true strength isn't in fists or fame. It's in kindness, courage, and standing up for those who can't.